headquarters, waking up on my coffee, getting my thoughts together, and I wanted to share something that I was thinking about last night that I seen. Good rising, brother. Good rising. Good rising. Good rising. Appreciate you checking in with me this morning. Just wanted to come talk to you, man, about that specific title. You can be strong, you know what I mean, and you can be wrong, and you can be right, and you can be weak. And the goal is to have a balance between that. You want to be strong and right, but we tend to find ourselves on one side or the other. And I watched a documentary last night. I watched the whole thing, and it was about a case of a bomber and how the system can paint a picture and how we can paint a picture and people can of someone before actually really knowing what's really going on. And we'll form our whole conclusion, we'll put it in writing, we'll put it in stone and say, this is what it is. And then we find out that this is not what it is. And it really takes those more principles to say that, yeah, I was wrong. You know what I mean? And is it better to look strong and be wrong? And you can be in a situation where you can be right and be weak, meaning not having the financial source behind you, not having the power or the push or the network behind you where you can be able to do certain things. And you're right, your movement is right, but you're weak because you don't have the finances or you don't have the team you need to actually get the message across, to get other people to know that, hey, that's right. You see what I'm saying? So that documentary just made me think about that, like it'd been on my mind this morning, because I have faced situations like that, and I have, witnessed it now, what we're going through with the pandemic, what we're going through with the jobs, with just laws itself, and the presidential campaign, and just, man, there's a lot of stuff that have happened this year. A lot of history have took place, and it just makes me think, like, what really side do we really want to be on? You know what I mean? Like, I've seen myself be right in many situations where I know I was right and I was standing strong, but I was weak because I was standing by myself in a situation where I really didn't have no one backing me. I really didn't have no strong support. So I kind of had to go through it, you know what I mean? But even though in my heart, I was like, man, I know I'm right. You know what I mean? But I get it when you are in a situation where you have the power. You have this ability to make certain moves, and you'll make a move thinking you're right. You find out you're wrong. Now it comes the bigger man to say, okay, can you admit your faults? Can you go back and correct that? Can you do your best to make right your wrongs? Or would you just say, I'm gonna just throw this on the table, it is what it is. I wasn't right, he just fell a victim, what it is, you know what I mean? And then later see a later demise, because in the inside, if you're really a true person, it's gonna bother you. You know what I mean? It's gonna bother you, you know what I mean? So things might happen. You might end up leading to drug addiction or leading to a situation that calls you to get in a situation that takes your life, So it's just amazing how karma and how life tends to just balance things out. And to be honest, I remember making a statement. This guy used to say, man, it's hard, but it's fair. And it's not. It's hard and it's not fair. You know what I mean? Like it really isn't. But especially for our people, like especially for African Americans, Black natives, it's harder. It's just reality. Like, can no one, if you just look at the facts, say that it's not? And to me, looking at the concept reminds me of the Black man being right in a situation, but being weak in a situation, not being able to say really represent himself and have generational wealth and have ownership of things where we can be able to represent one another, you know, and a person being strong in a sense and being wrong with the way that they treated us, in the way that they did things, and then now trying to go back and fix things. So, you know, it's like, you know, like any country, America, you know, you think about America lifting up those who are refugees from other countries that have been in terrible, enslaved, and dangerous, and demonic and genocide situations. You know what I mean? But then you have America's, so to speak, stepchild that they brought here to raise to do everything, and then you would say, like, just suck it up. We giving you welfare, giving you food stamps, and none of that wasn't targeted just for our people. You know what I mean? Everybody benefited. See, the goal is, if you're gonna right your wrongs, you got to direct it straight to that person, straight to that group of people that you did wrong. You can't say, well, you did wrong, I'm gonna do something that's gonna benefit you, but everybody got to benefit, because we looking at this as a whole. But nah, everybody didn't go through that type of trauma, and it's written down now that it takes generations for someone. What's going on now? What's going on? Man, the kid's doing okay. The kid's doing okay. It takes generations for someone to actually correct, you know, to correct the situation that, like, for instance, for me to correct what my daddy did and how my daddy raised me and how my life went and how I want my son, it might take a few generations, but I got to start now correcting it so I can get to that level. You see what I'm saying? So it just, you know, it just showed me a few things when it came to that. I don't know about all that, man. You know what? I'm just you know, my gift, honestly, is to just, I feel is to be an encourager. You know what I mean? I'm just an inspirer. I read, I study, I learn. I've been through situations, and I just shared in my way, and just doing it in an organic sense. You know what I mean? So I understand, man. You know what? I have been thinking about um, moving around once everything gets straight, and I really, really want to visit some other places so I can have options. You know what I mean? But at the present time, I haven't visited the full backyard of America. You know what I mean? Because I consider this to be our backyard. So I really want to visit every state. So I have knocked a few of them off my list, but my goal is to really touch down and see some things. You know what I mean? Just from my personal standpoint is what I want to do. But I know that in order for us to be strong and right, we have to get the information. We have to have businesses. We have to be independent. We have to start LLCs. We have to start educating our kids on business. We have to start, you know, learning how to take care of ourselves, to be completely independent from the system. If it's from, you know, growing our own food or buying our food from one another, or, you know, starting our businesses to network with one another to make sure that each of us prosper. You see what I'm saying? Because the goal is, you know, it seems like for some reason we forgot about the old saying, I'm my brother's keeper, because truly we are, you know. And it's not about fully taking care of someone and say, oh, I'm just going to take, because see, some people get the game twisted. It's about providing information and setting up communities so that way those who really want it can get it. You know, we know the fact that we can't help them all. Everybody don't want to be rescued. Everybody don't have a problem with being in bondage. You know, we know this from Harriet Tubman. She tried to save a whole lot of people that didn't want to go. That, you know, just decided that, hey, I'd rather stay in this situation I am. I don't want to kick up no dust. I don't want to make the man look at me no type of way. I just rather stay here. And then you still see this same mentality now. You know what I'm saying? So we can't save everybody, but for those who are woke and those who are really want to do it, that's who we target our message to. So that's why, you know, when I drop random videos and I come to you live, you know, it's for those who want it. Like, I'm not pressuring anything on nobody. You know what I mean? I just want to throw the information out there because I was the same adolescent looking. You see what I'm saying? So if I got it in me, why should I die with it? You know what I mean? Why should I not share it? You know what I'm saying? So if it's nothing but giving my perspective and someone taking my idea and it changes them or put them in a better situation, then I did more with my life. My life affected someone else's life, and then their life may affected someone else's life, and then now it's a big circle. You see what I'm saying? That everybody affected this change, not knowing that it started from this one individual who said, "Hey, I'm gonna be naked and unashamed. I'm gonna just deliver. Um, I'm just gonna deliver who I am up close and personal. I'm gonna be, naked and not ashamed with my growth and my independence and what I'm trying to do with my business and my ideas. And showing that hey, you're gonna have to switch it up. You're gonna have to change things when you see it's not working. It's just a part of the system. So I just want to lead by example that way. But knowing that after watching this documentary, it just made me think how you know, we tend to be on one of those sides, like strong and weak, or strong and wrong, I mean, or right and weak. So I think the goal is for us to get where we'll get more of a balance to be strong and right. You see what I'm saying? Because when you have the finances and you have the intellect and the knowledge to know where you from, where you came, what's the truth, how to treat people, and you can build your own communities, man, that's unreal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's unreal. Like it's unreal for, you know, to see how strong it is when a person can believe something false and what they'll do behind a false statement and how they would destroy something or bring someone down. And then once they find the truth, that's when you see, are they humane or not? That's when you see if this person is evil, because that's evil. When you take away the the uh the humane side, the empathy, the sympathy, like all of it, when you take away all of that and then you just left with this black darkness, that's evil, because that'll do anything to a person because it don't have no loyalty. It don't, all it want is to get strong. It's like a fire. It just want to burn and burn. It just want to get stronger and stronger. So, a person like that, on any standpoint, in any race, it's only going to meet demise. And we see it through history. We see it through those serial killers and those who have done terrific things throughout history to nations and people and to families. You know what I mean? So, I just think, man, we should just work on having a balance. So that's why I just talk about being independent. I come to you with HogOn Welding, and I just talk about random things. And I've been working on the shipping container conversions because I'm trying to, in my perspective, do something that haven't been done from my family, from how I grew up, and I know that I can't do it being surrounded necessarily with the same people, because if they're not on that level, then I might as well be alone. You see what I'm saying? So sometimes I realize that in order to be strong and right, you have to be alone. You see what I'm saying? So it takes like darkness. It takes times where you got to go through what you got to go through so that way you can gain a better understanding of the situation, and you can be able to face other situations in the future, and you can be like, man, you know what? Okay, that's what that was. You see what I'm saying? So it just made me think about it now because, this coming up year, I'm not one to, I don't believe in holidays, but my kids do. And if I don't do nothing but see them on these times, you know what I mean? That means the world to me, you know what I mean? But, sometimes you realize you'll see patterns in people. And man, this morning I was thinking about me and my daughter, Amaris, had one time went to go see my son. It was Christmas time. It's been some years ago, probably Christmas of 2013, I believe. That's what that photo said. And we had to leave a package, a gift for him on the step of his house because, we wasn't really allowed to see him for some strange reason. You know how that goes. And then, history tends to repeat itself. I'm back in that same situation, 2020, you know, where it's still like, what in the world? You know what I mean? So you can feel like, man, I feel right. I know that I'm doing what's right. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm trying to do things for him. I'm trying to provide. I want to be a part. I'm willing to do whatever. And then I realize that I'm weak. You see what I'm saying? Because I don't necessarily have the power I need to help this situation to really benefit me and my son too. You see what I'm saying? Because I know from the last time we spoke and from being around him, he enjoyed our presence. And I'm willing to do what it takes to even make it happen because, that's what you're supposed to do. I drove, I think about it now and I know later, my kids will realize, especially my daughter Maris and my son, that I was driving from Phoenix to Phoenix to Arkansas, myself to pick them up, get a rest, turn around and drive back, man. That's like over 20 something hours, and I do it straight. You know what I mean? They'll sleep in the car, but I might stop at a rest stop, almost there and take a nap, you know what I mean? But I just do it because I don't want at that time. Get back, rest, go get back on the grind, you know what I mean? I know later they'll see the sacrifice because I know that's something that I had to do. But I see now how when you don't have the strength behind you and you just have the right, like man, you're doing right. It really don't mean nothing. You still can be judged by the system as being wrong because sometimes the system can be strong and wrong. You see what I'm saying? So it's a mean catch-22, y'all. You know what I mean? It's just something I was thinking about this morning, and I just wanted to kind of share it with you and talk to you about it. But it's just a mean catch-22 on how we find ourselves in situations like that. And I know I'm not the only one that really, once you really think about it, you have been on both sides of the track or one side or the other, you know what I mean? And with dealing with my kids, it's just, man, it's just one of those things where, especially my son, where I can just be honest with you and just say that I have been right, but weak in the aspect not having the system behind me or not having the finances at the time but couldn't make another move or having the it was like always something where I had to depend, and even so I felt myself being having to humble myself and just go with what the situation was. And then I felt like, well, if I reacted in a certain way, then who would really lose? My son. So then I felt weak again. I felt like, well, man, ain't nothing I can do but walk away. You see what I'm saying? But then, it's like you catch yourself in a situation where you have to realize one thing. There's a parable that say it was two men. And I want to share this with you because this is where, I find myself. I feel like we find ourselves in life. There's a parable of two men. One of these men built their house up on sand, and the other man built their foundation up on the rock. But both of them was in the same situation, but you couldn't tell that one man went a little down deeper. He had some deeper roots until he hit something, and then he came up. The other one just started and let it go. And as we know, the parable, the wind, the boisterous wind, the storm came, and the one that built his house up on sand, it got blew down. And then the one that built his house up on the strong stone foundation, he was still there. And there we go. We have a situation we can say a foolish person did and a wise person did. But the thing is, there's nothing in a fool. You see what I'm saying? Because we all play that. We all do something thinking that it's secure. Because if you think about it, do you really think this man would have built a house with his family and thinking that it would have protected them and the wind would have came down? Nah, he didn't build it to have to do it again. You see what I'm saying? And then I think about this documentary, like I said, that I read or watched, and it makes you think. It made me think of something else. What if that was the same person? What if the parable wasn't talking about two men? It was talking about one man who grew into two men. You know, we be a fool sometimes. We make foolish decisions. You know, that the rise of HogOn, the story of Black Feniks, for those who haven't, got a chance to check it out. You know, it's a long video, but it tells, the book is going to go more in detail, but I tell a more face-to-face personal story about some of my trials, some of the way how things went and how I became who I became and what I'm doing and what I'm going to do, like my focus and my mission, And I realized that parable represents the same person if you think about it when it comes to change. You know how it says you become a new creature, you become a new man. So when you become a new man, they say that when you was a fool, a child, you did childish things. You behaved in a childish way, like building your house upon sand, so to speak. But once you became a man, you put away childish things. That means your house got blew down one time. You see what I'm saying? Now you a man, now you a queen, a woman, and now you like, you know what? I'm building my house on a rock this time. I'm not going through that no more. So that's pretty much the same person. You see what I'm saying? So I just think that us being able to express who we are, I think it's important. I think it's important that we say, not only just say, but I think it's important to realize that we have to embrace our failures. We have to embrace where we're wrong. So in order for us to get strong, we have to embrace that we're wrong to be right, to correct both of them, to have a balance. So I just wanted to come into you and talk to you about that because that's what really hit me. And I just wanted to share that because it kind of caught me off guard. So just wanted to come to y'all, man, and talk to you about that. I'm out for the moment. I'll be checking back in with y'all later. Hold on.